Hey everybody, Ben here from DMC Films and Cineblock Studios, and today we're talking about using blues for shadows. What's the point, why would you do it, and why does it matter? That and more coming up. So why would anyone use blue to create shadow colors anyway? Well, historically, blues and other cool colors have been used to create shadows in paintings. Shadows both physically, as much as a shadow can be physical, and symbolically, feel cooler. Think about being outside on a really hot day. You're going to look for a shadow to hide under a tree, something that's cool and away from the sun. While blues might be traditionally associated with the cold, blue shadows are used to create a cool contrast between warm light. So obviously if you're not using a warm natural light in your paintings, you're going to have a cool semi-natural light and probably warmer shadows. So think about how different colors of light affect different colors of shadow. You can, check out my video over here about that. I did that a couple of years ago. Also, remember that a warmer light is going to reflect a cooler shadow, but a cooler light is going to reflect a warmer shadow. Understanding your complementary colors or opposites are really going to allow you to change and manipulate how shadows work. One thing to remember about shadows is that a lot of people want to use black just to create a simple, opaque shadow. And while I do use black occasionally in my shadows, I understand that a shadow is not its own entity. While a simple object is going to be sort of its own form, a shadow is cast upon the existing hues of the underlying paint. Whatever the base color is that your shadow is being cast upon, that is what's going to mostly determine the color of the shadow. So I'm not talking about just using straight out of the tube blue, but use blues in your mixes to create a more dynamic and realistic shadow. So as you may have already been able to guess, blue as a shadow color, it's not an absolute, but it is sort of a general guideline. Because you're not just using straight out of the tube blue and instead mixing with your complements, this is where it kind of comes into play that, yeah, you're not just using blue for shadows, but you're, again, using blue or other complements to inform you to paint better shadows. Remember in mixing your paint that you can have different biased colors. For example, a phthalo blue green shade has a green bias. So if you're using a red paint, mix in a little bit of blue to it. Make it a little more of a violet tone. That is what is known sort of as a blue bias. Now, as I mentioned before, I occasionally do use black in my shadows. Actually, I use it quite a bit, which if you're going for realism, is not what you should be doing at all. But granted, I'm not going for realism. I want my work to, while seem sort of real, also seem very much fantasy. So for that reason, I can kind of get away with using black a little bit. But this isn't to say that I'm completely ignoring using blue. I find that often a really good mix is taking just some regular Mars black and mixing in a bit of Prussian blue. That way it's not just stark black or stark blue, but has sort of a nice dark tone. And then I'll work that in more transparent layers over top of my painting. But again, remember that shadows are a complement of light and dark, not just its own simple dark entity. So what do I suggest for you guys? Well, if you're going to paint like me, take some time and really analyze why you're painting the way that you're painting. Thinking about what style you want to paint in, and then thinking about more complex complementary colors will allow you to paint with a little more finesse. Playing with stronger blues or maybe weaker blues will allow you to sort of create maybe your own style. Understanding how color works in this way is how artists over the years and over the centuries have been able to create interesting new techniques and really understand what color can do. And knowing that blue as a shadow color is not an absolute rule, remember that it's not the only shadow color you can use. Again, play with your complements, see what you can do with other colors, think about your cools, think about your warms, think about what color the light source is. So I obviously can't tell you how to paint every single brushstroke of your piece. That's your decision to make. But I hope this video has given you some insight into making better decisions about your colors. Remember to be a better painter, whether you're doing manga, anime style illustrations, surrealist work, realism, abstracts. Go out and observe your environment. Observe how light and shadow work on each other. Because regardless of what you're painting, that is going to make all the difference in the world. Be sure to keep all of this in mind for your next project. Subscribe if you're not already, and this has been from DMC Films and Cineblock Studios. See you guys next time.